Hello, I'm the undisputed grandmaster of crime. What? I see. On advice from a lawyer, I will rephrase that. I am the undisputed grandmaster of the law. I'm the undisputed grandmaster of crime. The law can't let his guard down, even at Christmas. So today, we're going to be investigating the characters from the beloved Christmas movie Home Alone 3. What? Seriously? Right. I've just been informed Home Alone 3 is not even a Christmas movie, but I don't care. We're going to be looking at every crime in Home Alone 3 and seeing what would happen if each character was charged for their crimes. Sorry? Yes, I know the burglars get arrested at the end. I'm talking about the main characters. So you may not have watched Home Alone 3. You may not have what it takes to watch a Home Alone movie that doesn't have Kevin, Harry or Marv in it. But if I don't watch it, who else is going to expose the heinous crimes? Namely, that of one Alex Pruitt. So anyway, our first crime is grand theft, which is a bit like Grand Theft Auto, but there's nothing automatic about it, except for the fact that they later hide the object they grand thieved in a toy car. So maybe we should call it Grand Theft Auto after all, but my lawyer next to me is shaking his head right now, so we'll have to let it go. For the crime of grand theft, the four burglars would receive either up to 3 years in prison or a $5,000 fine. Personally, I think it would be worth giving them both. Moving on, the four burglars have the absolute goal to transport a stolen good into the United States of America. And believe it or not, I'm not talking about the incredible toy car that becomes central to the movie's plot. I'm talking about a $10 million computer chip that they've stolen. If they were caught at the time, they'd have received up to 10 years in prison or a $250,000 fine. I think. I'm just googling all this since my lawyer's gone home. Later on, they realise their toy car containing the chip has been stolen by Mrs. Hess. Although since this act of theft was accidental, she unfortunately wouldn't face any consequences. Even worse, the burglars begin searching other people's bags for their precious toy car, which should have resulted in a $500 fine, but the bastards got away with it. Thankfully, it's a while later on in this shoddy film before any more crime occurs. About 21 minutes into the film, the burglar known as Peter Boper breaks into a house neighbouring the Pruitt residence. Little does he know, Alex is eavesdropping on this burglary through a telescope and immediately rats him out to the police in an attempt to get him charged with breaking and entering, something that would get him prison for up to 5 years or a $25,000 fine. The next day, the four robbers return to break and enter another house, and naturally, Alex, in his infinite jobsworthiness, calls the police on them again. Only this time, they commit the heinous crime of fleeing law enforcement, which ought to have given them 1 year in prison or a $2,500 fine. The following day, Alex has thankfully seen the error of his ways and avoids calling the police when the burglars commit a third act of breaking and entering, probably because he'd feel bad if they were sentenced to a whole 15 years in prison or a $75,000 fine. But instead he takes matters into his own hands, and he uses the toy car to spy on the burglars. Though since he drives the car into private property, Alex will be looking at up to a year in prison, and rightly so. After Alice gets her hands on the car outside, Alex makes it drive across her face, rendering the poor woman a victim of battery and assault, punishable by up to 30 days in jail or a $1,500 fine. Later on, as the burglars are watching a videotape they stole from the camera attached to the car, something punishable by up to 1 year in prison and or a $2,500 fine, it all suggests that they should
whack every kid in the neighborhood, burn them all.
A conspiracy to commit murder and aggravated arson like this would land them in prison for between 6 and 60 years. That night, Karen, Alex's mother, is called by Alice pretending to be the mother of a boy called Bradley Clovis. When Alex disconnects the call, Karen rings her back, only for the burglars to reroute the call back to themselves. This is a form of telecommunications fraud that would result in up to 20 years or a $250,000 fine. The next day, the burglars head for Alex's house, and in the process, Alice locks Mrs. Hess in a garage, which should have resulted in 30 years in prison on the charges of aggravated kidnapping and unlawful restraint. Meanwhile, Alex has the indecency to cause two of the burglars to be electrocuted, therefore 2 charges of aggravated battery are in order, each carrying a sentence of up to 45 years in prison. Also, one of these traps is a blatant rip-off of a trap in Home Alone 2 lost in New York. so if I get time later, I will look into this serious act of plagiarism. Alex commits the same crime several times when he causes Earl to crash headfirst into a door, and sets up a heavy trunk full of books to fall on Earl and Peter, followed by a barbell. Elsewhere, another burglar whose name I do not remember finds himself getting absolutely terrored by a leaking water pipe. Since this is no doubt Alex's doing, I'm giving him another charge of aggravated battery with the same sentence. It probably won't have the same sentence in real life, but I can't be arsed looking it up anymore. He later attacks Earl with a balloon filled with an unidentified white liquid, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and simply charge him with another count of aggravated battery. Afterwards, he sprays black paint into Peter's eyes, which ought to have resulted in a charge of reckless conduct and up to 3 years in prison, or a $25,000 fine. As a punishment, Peter vandalises his front door with what seems to be an electric knife. This act of property damage is worth up to 3 years in prison. As Alice attempts to enter Alex's garden, she is attacked by 2 plant pots to the head, giving Alex 2 further counts of aggravated battery, and I'm giving him the same sentence of 45 years in prison for that. But it gets so much worse, because Alex then tricks the other burglar, whose name is apparently Burton Jernigan, into being attacked by a live lawnmower. But unfortunately, this is worth only 1 charge of aggravated battery. It's getting pretty boring just constantly charging Alex with this. Just when you thought Alex couldn't sink any lower, he lures Peter to a cupboard door, then uses a boxing glove to absolutely twat him right in the bollocks. Alex would now be looking at an extra 7 years in prison for sexual assault. After another series of injuries that are mostly the burglar's faults, Alice chooses to break the law once again, just when you thought she'd seen the error of her ways. Upon seeing what she mistakes for a rat resting in Burton's pants, she commits a heinous act of sexual assault on him, warranting up to 7 years in prison. He responds with the following:
"You smacked my winky."
Afterwards, Alex commits the worst crime yet. He tricks 2 of the burglars into falling through a trampoline and into a freezing swimming pool. This attempt at drowning them should have landed them in prison for up to 30 years, but the law is just so soft on children these days. He then tricks Alice into falling through an elevator, giving him an umpteenth charge of aggravated battery. And finally, after 3 of the burglars are arrested, the presumed ringleader Peter escapes to an igloo. Unfortunately for him, Alex's brother's parrot flies in and threatens to blow up the igloo with a matchstick and dynamite. Peter attempts to bribe him out of doing this with a cracker, for which he'd be looking at up to 5 years in prison or a $5,000 fine. However, the parrot is too much of a cheapskate and says he'll only accept
Double or nothing?
I only have 1.
We have ignition. Showtime.
Well, thankfully, the poor man survives and is later arrested with the other 3. And now we come to the end of the movie, and Alex and the burglars are awaiting their sentencings. With all the charges tallied up, the burglar's final sentence is a maximum of 150 years in prison or a $565,500 fine between them. As for Alex Pruitt, with his many counts of aggravated battery, sexual assault and attempted murder, he would have been sentenced to a maximum of 491 years and 30 days in prison, or a $1,500 fine. And after the damage he allowed the burglars to do to his house, I can't imagine he'll be able to pay the fine, in which case I will sentence him to another 8 years in prison, giving him a total of 499 years and 30 days. I hope you enjoyed this expose on the heinous crimes of all 5 main characters, and I'll see you next week where we'll be finding out what crimes every Home Alone 4 character should have been charged with. Until then, have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you again soon.
You smacked my winky.